The What We Carry project and the objects that people bring with them really do represent our identity. And I think it does preserve who we are, who we've been, and where we come from.
One night just changed it all. That night was dark. Everyone was running. People were crying. That one bomb, it destroyed my land. A mother cries, "Where is my son?" أنا ما عندي شي من بلدي غير دفتر مذكرياتي الصغير اللي صديقاتي كاتبين لي فيه. كتبت عنه، عن كيف بدأ، كيف الحياة كانت قبل الحرب وبعد الحرب. صديقاتي كاتبين بس ما يعرفوا إنه الحرب جاي، كأطفال ما نعرف. فكتبت عنه وكتبت كيف غادرنا وكيف وصلنا هون وكيف أنا بتذكر ماضي.
The objects do tell stories of where we came from. The objects that people brought from Iraq and Syria were brought from what we refer to as the cradle of civilization. And every one of us has studied the Fertile Crescent, the Tigris and Euphrates. And these objects represent history of Iraq, and they also represent the history of America and the rest of the world.
أعتقد أنه عدد الأحجار اللي تدمرت ملايين. تدمرت أحجار من آلاف السنين إلى اليوم. دمرت أحجار كانت تاريخية ودمرت أحجار انبنت حديثاً. فالعراق تدمرت به الأحجار ودمرت به الثقافة ودمرت به الأخلاق ودمرت به كل الجوانب. كان هي الشيء الوحيد إنه ممكن يما أجيت من العراق مستحيل يما بتمشي من بلد إلى بلد تهاجر إنه تجيب كل شيء أنت تريده. مستحيل. بس لازم نجيب أكثر الأشياء قيمة وأكثر الأشياء اللي ممكن إنه هاي قيمتها تجمع كثير قيم. هاي الدومينو هي شيء بسيط بس بنفس الوقت إنه تجمع ذكريات ويا أصدقاء عددهم كبير، وهذول الأصدقاء كل ما ألعب أتذكرهم. فكان شيء واحد يجمع كثير ذكريات.
I think that this project can help us learn more about the rest of the world. Most of us studied history of Western civilization in college or high school, and we learned about that part of the world, but it wasn't until 2003 did we really understand where that part of the world is, who those people are, and now that we have projects like this, we get to know those people, and it stops becoming about us and them.
أنا كنت عايشة بالعراق بالأنبار. بعد ما صار الحرب انطردنا، فرحنا وكان عمري أنا 9 سنين. رحنا على سوريا، عشنا بالشام 7 سنين. بعدين جينا هون. طبعا ما كان عنا في خيار بس هاي الدولة. فاجينا هون، صعوبة اللغة، صعوبة الحياة، مغتربين، ما عنا أي حل. فلقينا كتير صعوبة. كنا أول شي بأريزونا، هونيك ما في عرب، ما في أي شي، بس دراسة وبيت. ما كان في حياة اجتماعية. فنقلنا هون مشان أهلي كلهم هون قرايبنا. كان أسهل لأنه في عرب، بس كمان صعوبة لتتواصل مع المجتمع. فدرسنا وتعلمنا اللغة وصارت الحياة أسهل.
We want to make sure that people understand that the refugee experience is not something that's in isolation. This has happened throughout our history, through international history, that people have been forced out of their homelands because of war, because of hatred, because of ignorance, and have found, in this case, situated where we are, refuge in the United States. And a lot of that history also is problematic for those that are involved. Coming to a new country, leaving your loved ones behind, not knowing where you're going. These experiences are the same for every refugee group that comes to the United States.
We cry about ourselves or we cry about what happened. صار سنين وإحنا هموم الجبال. It's been many years with bad situation. فوق اسطولنا شلناه نشاه تعال تريد فوضى حمل وشيل You can't find anybody with a good life back there. Yeah, we have people from too many different cities in Iraq, like terrorist people and everything. We are like any country, we need to live a similar life, peace and everything. Yeah, we are tired and we need to get better.
When refugees are displaced, they have to leave everything that they know. And when they take those items, it does speak to what is important, but also speaks to what's left behind. And what's left behind is everything else: your home, your family, your culture, your job, and your community.
These cups remind me with my dad, with my dear dad, who taught me a lot, and whom I will always remember with love and gratitude and joy. I folded these cups with the piece of cloth carefully, as if it was a piece of gold to me. It's worth a lot to me. These cups also traveled so many times around the world, from Baghdad to The Hague to Syria to Chicago.
The items that people bring with them do represent what's important to them, and they represent the memories that are good, and they also represent the loss.
This is my brother. He's married, named Nouri, bigger than me. I'm in the Turkey 1 year, 5 months.
Mm-hmm.
And 2008, I'm living in Iraq. 2006, I'm in the Turkey. This photo 2008, and my family and my brother married. He texted me.
It's important that not only do they experience that, I think it's important that we hear that. And I think it helps to build our common humanity. You know, one of the things that we expect when we come to an exhibit like this is we expect to see very foreign and exotic items, and teapots and Qurans and Bibles and lockets and pictures of our mother. But when somebody brings their Barbie dolls, I mean, for me, that really ties us all together, because who would think that Barbie dolls could make connections between girls all over the world? So when things like that come, unexpected items, that's when I really get excited, because the whole purpose of this is to build bridges, bring people together, share our common humanity, and I think those items do that. These objects can help to build a new civilization. The objects and the civilizations that were left are now disappearing. And so these objects are a foundation for a new civilization. When I started working on the project with Iraqi refugees, I thought I would treat it the same way that I did with the American soldiers: a photograph, a portrait, and a story. And I tried that several times with the Iraqi refugees, and it didn't work. But one of the refugees had a picture of her family on a shelf, and she wanted me to take a picture of it because she didn't have any other copies. And so I made a copy for her, and I realized that's really what was more important, was this thing that she carried with her from Iraq through Turkey and Jordan and to America. And this thing really meant everything to her.
This one, there's nothing written on it, but it's in Christmas. It's our first Christmas in Syria. So 2003, 2004. And I still have this baby doll, and he made a really big party in the cathedral in Syria, in the countryside. He made a big party for the Iraqis who moved from Iraq to Syria, and there were refugees in Syria. So he gathered them all that night, and he gave gifts to all kids. So it was so lovely. And when I went in, it was my turn to get the gift. They told me that they got me a baby, and I'm like, what, a baby? And he was really happy because he loved the gift too. Yeah, and I did love the gift too.
Yeah, that's the Iraqi map. They have all the cities on it. It's from the south to the north. It was a gift from somebody close to me.
After I did my first photograph with writing, the project basically took on a life of its own. One person referred me to another person, that person referred me to another person, and eventually people started coming to me. And one time when I was in Dearborn, somebody came to me and said, "Are you that guy from Oregon who's helping to tell our stories?" And so he showed me his object, and I photographed it. I made the prints and returned the print to him, and then he wrote his story. And I've been doing this in several cities. I've done it in Boston, Portland, San Diego, Los Angeles, Chicago, and Dearborn. And in every community, we have a number of people who want to share their stories. I've had Iraqi people tell me that I was the first American that gave them the time of day. And then I've also had Americans say, I've never met any Iraqi people, and I didn't know who they were. People have been demonized, and so when we finally get to meet each other, it builds bridges. There were a few people that after I met with them and talked to them, I think they realized that they or their family back in Iraq could be put in some danger by participating. And so a few people did decide not to participate, but very few. Almost everybody wanted to share their stories.
It was very important to us that this exhibition was both in English and Arabic, important not only to the museum but also to Jim Lommasson, the photographer. He wanted to make sure that everyone who came to the exhibition, whether they were an Arabic speaker or an English speaker, could fully understand what this refugee experience was. I do think that some people find it surprising that we have an exhibition fully translated into Arabic at the Illinois Holocaust Museum, but for me it was never a question. And so the plight of Iraqi refugees, Syrian refugees, those that are highlighted in this exhibition are important to us as a museum and what we bring to the public so that the public learns more about refugees from World War II, but current day refugees also.
It's really been interesting how people react to the photographs and the stories. It turns it all into a very human conversation. And one of the things that happens is we break down stereotypes and we see each other as fellow human beings. And if someone meets a person that's from Iraq or Afghanistan and shakes their hand, it does something that nothing else can do. When we look at each other in the eye and we get to know each other, it breaks down all those stereotypes, and that stuff just goes away. The items that people bring with them are a new beginning. They start their new lives in a new country. Many people have to learn a new language, find a new home, and these items are kind of the foundation and the memory of their old lives.
أصدقائي جديدين موجودين بأمريكا تختلفون عن أصدقائي الموجودين بالعراق. بالعراق كانوا يعني سنوات طويلة وياهم. بس هنا أنا من 3 سنوات لما جيت لأمريكا بديت سويت أصدقاء جديدين، عددهم قليل يعني مو أكثر من 3 أصدقاء. صعب كلش إنه إنسان يبني صداقة ببلد جديد بأوضاع مختلفة وينسى أصدقائه. الدومينوز هاي تذكرني دائما بأصدقائي، وبنفس الوقت إنه أصدقائي الجدد اللي دا يلعبوها دائما أحكي لهم عن كل القصص اللي إحنا كنت يعني أعيشها ويا أصدقائي القدماء لما كنا نلعب هاي الدومينو. ودا تبدي قصص جديدة، واعرف انه هاي القصص الجديده راح تكون قصص طويله، واحتمال تكون اطول من القصص اللي عشتها ويا اصدقائي اللي كانوا بالعراق.
المذكرات الجديدة راح تكون عن صعوبة اللغة، من واحد يجي هون صعب، لغة جديدة، حياة جديدة. فمذكراتي راح تكون كيف أنا لقيت صعوبة باللغة بالبداية، وكيف أنا خلصت نفسي من هاي الصعوبة وتعلمتها. راح تكون عن اللغة والدراسة أكثر شيء، لأنه هذا الأمل الوحيد اللي عنا نحن بس نغادر بلدنا، هذا الأمل الوحيد اللي عنا لنتمسك فيه. هذا راح يكون مذكراتي الجديدة. الإنسان اللي يعمل ويشتغل على حاله في يعرف وين راح يكون، بس طبعا ما حدا يعرف في الفيوتشر، بس أنت فيك تسويه، فيك تحدد مستقبلك. إذا أنت عندك شيء براسك وبدك تسويه، تشتغل على نفسك، راح توصل للشيء اللي بدك إياه.
The What We Carry project is an ongoing project because the world is in flux and people have to leave their homes. And I don't think there will ever be a time when there won't be refugees. And stories like this need to be told, otherwise they get forgotten. I was at a bilingual poetry reading in Portland, Oregon a couple weeks ago. And one of my Iraqi friends was reading poetry, and he read a poem that he had written. And just in the build up to his poem, just informally, he said something in the middle of a sentence, and he said something like, "I've been working for a peace that will never come." And that really struck me, because most of us are frustrated because we know there will never be world peace. We know we will never end war once and for all. But to know that working for a peace that will never come is still worth the effort. It's still necessary, and it's the mission that we should all be on.
We wanted to live, but we were kicked out. Living with our memories that made my history. That one night that changed my life is forever alive inside my mind. Past and future will always collide every time I raise my eyes and look up to the sky.